Hello again. I have in my sweaty little hand an article in, or a review in a Guitar Buyer magazine. Not something I would normally buy. Actually, I don't buy British magazines anymore. But it's a review of the Collings DS1, as it says here, and then he goes on to review a DS1A, which is with Adirondack. It's not very well written, but that doesn't matter much. It gives me an excuse to talk about my mahogany guitars. So here's the story. In '99 I bought my first Collings DS2H, which was Sitka and East Indian rosewood. In 2005 I bought a 000 version of that called the 002H, which I may talk about later. And in 2010 I saw another Collings guitar on eBay, a DS1, and I shall show you that now. This is a DS1, so it follows, Collings follow the Martin traditions. Not only is it a Martin design, but it is a D. This is a dreadnought, an original dreadnought. It is a DS, which means it's standard, 12 fret, in the same way as D28S or D18S would have been. And it's a 1 as opposed to a 2, and that means 1 is mahogany and the minimal tortoiseshell trim compared to the 2, which was the equivalent of the D2 in 1931 before the D28, before they renamed it D28. So this arrived. I bought it for the starting price on an auction. A gentleman in Wales was so upset that he got so little money for it, that when it arrived in such gorgeous as new condition, well packed and everything, that I contacted him and thanked him, and I sent him an extra few quid, which delighted him. So everybody was happy, and that's the important thing with a trade as far as I'm concerned. It's not, for me, it's not always about getting the cheapest deal, it's about getting the best deal. So here is easily my loudest Collings guitar. It's in the same pattern, the same mould, the same neck and everything as my rosewood ones, but it has a quality which is loud and brash, and so it became my bluegrass guitar of preference for many years. This is a 2008 model, and I bought it in 2010. It was in showroom condition, but being my bluegrass guitar, I wore the frets down quite a lot. And I also started getting pains in my hand because, this being the latest Collings I got, it had the deepest neck profile. They got progressively thicker and thicker and thicker. And I chatted with Bill Collings about that when he made his brief visit to the UK a couple of years ago, and subsequent conversations with the folks at the factory. They arranged to have it shipped back and checked out, and found that it didn't meet the specs that were published on the website at the time, and they reduced the neck for me, and have kind of taken away the modified V and made it into a C, which suits me fine, and they also refretted it for me, which is very nice. So I've always been fascinated with this because the front being standard Sitka and an equivalent 2008, it seems darker and more complex. So Martin really got it right when they designed these unadorned basic instruments, but made them so well, and Collings has only improved that mark. So that's my DS1. So I've got a DS1, DS2, DS2H 99, a DS2H 2007. I've got a DS1 from 2007, and I'm getting my numbers mixed up. And then I saw another Collings 12 fret Dreadnought on eBay. This one, Sunburst Adirondack. Asking, well, I can't even remember the asking price on it, but I looked at it, I started up a conversation with the seller, but in the end, logic overtook me, and I thought, I really don't need another Dreadnought, but it is a pretty sunburst. Anyway, a friend of mine and contributor to many fora actually bought it in some sort of deal that I don't know, was none of my business. And then he contacted me and said, Andrew, I got that DS1 ASB, DS 12 fret 1 mahogany A Adirondack SB Sunburst, built in 2003, and I wonder if you'd like to see it. Yeah, thank you, Chris. So he brought it over, and of course a deal was done, and a very reasonable deal. Thank you, Chris. And it's silly, I've now got 4 of these things, but I love them all, and the Adirondack does give it another something. I have no problem with Sitka tops at all. I think they're very underrated. A good Sitka top is as good as you need, but there is something slightly different about an Adirondack top. I had very little work done on this. The bridge started lifting at one point. These things happen. That was resolved without issues, and no visible evidence of that. Beautiful bit of work by my my new tech gentleman at Eternal Guitars, who did the setup on my DS2H beautifully. So these are my 2 mahogany Collings guitars. If you have been, thanks for watching. If you have any comments you'd like to make, please do. I love reading the comments underneath these little videos, and if you need any further information, I'd be very happy to supply them. All of my guitars have one of these in the case. These are my Princess Mary boxes, and I have been sending quite a number of the replica versions, which are far cheaper, but do the same job of keeping picks and capos and tuners all in one place, so you don't lose your valuable blue chip picks, for instance. And I have 4 of them left, so if you're interested, please contact me. If you have been, thanks for listening. Bye.